Hi everybody, Matt Lawton here. This is the Astrological Winds channel, and we are going to take a look at the astrological weather forecasts for the week of December 21st through the 27th. And today is December 21st, the Capricorn Ingress winter solstice in the northern hemisphere. Summer solstice for you folks in the southern hemisphere, if anyone's watching down there. And really, for me and many other people too, really the beginning of the new year. The shortest day of the year, the sun standing still, and at its longest level of southern declination, and we'll be turning around and heading back north towards the equator, where it will be on the equinox in June around the 20th, 21st. So really, to me, the beginning of the new year. So also going to look at the solstice chart set for Washington, D.C., kind of take a look at what is in store for the United States for the next year and the next quarter. One of the mundane methods that I've used for many, many years to look at what's going to go on in the United States. And it can be done for any other country too. If you're from another country, you can just set the solstice time to the capital of your country and run the chart there to see how it will affect that country. So we'll take a look at that too. But of course, everybody in the world practically at this point knows about the Great Conjunction. We've been watching it all year. Jupiter and Saturn getting closer and closer and closer together. And astrologically, that's going to happen at 1 degree Aquarius. Of course, because of precession in the sky, they are still in sidereal, are in Capricorn still. But for our Western zodiac, which is our timepiece, we have that conjunction happening at 1 degree Aquarius. And I know there's a lot of information out there, and a lot of you have probably heard a lot about this, that how this is the closest conjunction of the two planets in 800 or 900 years. And that's correct. They do conjunct every 12 years. Not every 12 years, I'm sorry, every 19, 20 years. And that's by longitude. You know, they will conjunct every 19, 20 years by longitude. And so this is where the air element is coming in. The conjunctions for the next 240 years, 11 of the 12 conjunctions will be in air signs. And for the last 240 years, 11 of the 12 conjunctions of Jupiter and Saturn were in earth signs. And, you know, for me, when you look back at the Jupiter-Saturn's all about building structure. They're the two social planets in the zodiac. So let's remember that this is all about social change, okay? And it's not, it's not a harbinger of like catastrophic events or things like that outer planets can bring in. It's a societal group collective shift of consciousness more than anything else. And in Aquarius is where it is. And Saturn is the planet that's strong in Aquarius in this conjunction, not Jupiter. Jupiter is moving out of Capricorn, where it's very weak, into a sign where it's kind of neutral in Aquarius. It doesn't have any strong strengths in there in Aquarius, and it doesn't have any weaknesses either. So it's kind of like in an in-between state. So Saturn is the one that's the strong one of these two in this situation. It's in one of the signs that it rules, and it's in the higher octave sign that it rules, where it has the recognition that the structure around it, and the structure in society in particular, needs an upgrade. It's not working as efficiently as it did. And so, like, on this collective level, I'm sure you've heard a lot of it before, and I'm just going to say, technology is going to be the big drive of the next 20 years on all levels of society. Aquarius is going to have a lot to do with, like, technology, with expanding in ways we can't even imagine right now for the next 20 years. And the value on a group or societal level, the group or collective's values are going to be intellectually driven. They're going to be driven by logic, driven by, like, science, driven by technology, driven by, like, complex math, algorithms, So it's going to be an age of great leaps in those areas. And also socially, Aquarius is all about equality and social justice. It's about the elimination of isms, the different isms that divide people into groups are going to be, like, more and more evened out. And this is, like, having a lot to do with the change of the ages, too, of Pisces going into Aquarius. We've been in that cusp now for about 100 years, and we still have another 100 years to go. But this conjunction is pretty much right at the midpoint of that birthing process. It's almost like the head has emerged, and the rest of the baby's ready to come out. So it's interesting on that level, but Aquarius wants equality on a collective level. It wants, like, the group to feel like every person is equally important. And so therefore, the elimination of individualistic qualities is actually not really something that Aquarius is actually into. It doesn't want this division going on. It's like, it's that whole thing of, like, almost everybody gets a reward no matter, what the input or the result is. So it's like the leveling of the playing field kind of energy. And we can see that already happening in society. Like, let's talk, just about sexuality. How, there's this shift going on in sexuality values of the identity that people are putting on themselves. And so that's a very Aquarian thing, but it's very intellectually driven, and it has a tendency to, like, kind of homogenize things, but also, like, create, like, emotional distance and physical distance. So there's going to be very interesting changes that go on in the way of what we value on those abstract levels within society in the next 20 years. And that's really what this conjunction is about. It's two social planets. It's not about disasters. It's not about things like that. It's about a shift in the way society looks at things. So, like, the reality is the individual is not as important anymore in the Aquarian archetype. The individuals are all supposed to be treated equally. So there's not, you're not going to get this individualistic treatment that you as much anymore. It's going to level kind of playing fields for better or for worse, whatever that can be. It can be taken to two different extremes, and humans are really good at doing that and becoming reactionary and taking things to different extremes. And you have to remember, the Aquarian energy can be very stubborn about what it believes in, and so that there's a lesson there of like this self-wounding that starts to occur on that level. So it will be an interesting next 20 years to see how much we advance. But when you think about all the sci-fi movies and stuff like that of the last 20 years, that's kind of like the world we're kind of moving into. Who knows? Maybe we'll have the friendly aliens like living with us openly by the end of these 20 years. It's really kind of the possibilities are endless, really, on that level. But let's talk about what's more important, the personal level. What does it mean to you, the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction? What does it mean to you? And it's interesting, too, look at the house that it falls into in your chart. It's 1 degree Aquarius. And it's going to be the part of your life that the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction is going to affect the most. And once again, it's like in this long cycle. So, I think, so what does it mean on a personal level? Jupiter and Saturn have like opposing energies. One restricts, one expands. And if those energies can be brought into balance, they can work the perfect thing. They can bring in this bigger view and vision that comes from an abstract process of thought and intuition and ideas, and then bring it into physical existence with tools, with our hands and mind, and the discipline of Saturn, and create something new in our life, a new beginning, something that will be a part of a 20-year cycle in our life. But the first thing that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction is going to do is have you look at what is restricting you. We're moving from one age to another, so that's kind of happening inside us too. In the Jupiter-Saturn, like, it's starting to become probably pretty clear to you of what are the things that are holding you back. What are the people, the situations, the places, the attitudes, the values? What's holding you back? Because for that new beginning to really take root, the last vestiges of what's holding you back have to be cleared. So it's like we all have structures in our lives that we, live by every day. And just like society, some of those structures become outdated. And they're the things that hold us back. And then they could be people. Could be a job. Could be where you're living. Could just be your life situation. But those things, now, if there's a restlessness inside you, then there's still something holding you back at the crux of a very important moment in our solar system and on our planet that's affecting everything on our planet, every human being. So if you're sensing like that restlessness, then that's telling you those are the things still. Those are the things that are holding you back. So what's going to be the approach to that? For most of us, the two will work together, and we will replace things that are not working with better things that we've gotten insights into in the last really anywhere from a year to 12 years maybe that we've been looking at while Pluto's in Capricorn, or at least the past 2.5 years while Saturn was there too, and really strongly this past year when Jupiter was there too. Where's the weakness in our structure? We're only as strong as the weakest link in the chain, both socially and individually. So that's what we kind of need to look at. And then, okay, so we have the new insights too. And how do we implement? Jupiter, Saturn together is normally not going to throw the whole system out. There may be systems that are rotten enough that need to be completely thrown out. And that can happen in this situation if it's that extreme. And when I mean that extreme, if it's that ignorant of itself, then, it could be torn asunder. The walls could fall. But for most of us, we know already inside us, not only what needs to be changed, but what also is supposed to be coming in right now. And I think that, when you think about Jupiter, Saturn, it's like a discipline is needed and necessary. This is not a big leap, not at one big point. That's Uranus. Now this is like a step-by-step rebuilding. So we go down to the bottom and we start to cement the cracks at the foundation first. Start to put in support, whatever that may be. Rebuild that step by step. Strengthen that. Make that pyramid something lively again, not something that's become an artifact. That structure that we create, like that, around things that we have in our lives, all kinds of things, abstract, concrete, spiritual, physical. Interesting time. So let's look at the chart here too. And I'm going to try to flip the camera here quick and see if we can actually look at this chart together.